All right, let's talk about it. Something weird's happening in RuneScape right now. For years, RuneScape's combat meta has always been about a couple things: knowing mechanics, swapping gear, and squeezing out the absolute maximum amount of DPS when the moment was right. That's just how PvM worked. I didn't make the rules. But then Necromancy arrived, and it completely changed the landscape of the game we love. Necromancy gave mid-game players something that they never had before, and that was a direct entry into end-game PvM. And now, after this new combat update, it feels like the other combat styles have finally caught up. Let me explain. Personally, I'll admit it, proudly, Necromancy to the highest rating. When I arrived in Gillinor, I wanted to get into PvM as quickly as possible. I didn't want to have to spend a ton of time mastering hybrid rotations, figuring out my weapon swaps, figuring out my gear switches, and my ability spreadsheets and what they all did. I wanted to get in as quickly as possible, and Necromancy gave me a shortcut straight into bossing. But now, after this combat update, I'm walking into bosses with mid-game gear, mediocre perks, and setups that absolutely should not be optimal for kills. And you know what? I'm cutting straight through bosses that I previously needed Necromancy to handle. Meanwhile, we have elite PvM creators out here who are showing us just how ridiculous their in-game setups have become. But good news for the casual players. It feels like the pendulum might have finally swung back in our direction, because right now, for the first time in a while, you can basically PvM with any style in the game. Now, before we get going, remember to like the video, subscribe for more content, and comment to let me know what you thought. Let's go. Let's talk about the Necromancy era. The Necromancy era. When Necromancy launched, it simplified RuneScape's combat almost to a fault. As somebody who's been playing almost 2 years, coming up on it now, Necromancy gave me an entry point into PvM that simply did not exist with any other style. The rotations were simple. There weren't dozens of confusing abilities to memorize. Your ghost healed you. It's a huge plus. And if you have half a brain, the big DPS rotations pretty much ran themselves. When you get later into the system, outside of the occasional T90 to T95 weapon swap, and maybe an EOF if you're feeling a little fancy, there weren't really any major complicated gear swaps for the style either. Necromancy was basically easyscape for PvM. And for the first time in RuneScape history, the strongest combat style was also the easiest and at most accessible to learn. Naturally, the entire community shifted, and I mean the entire community. Go to any wilderness event that requires combat, and you'll immediately see it. Necromancy everywhere. Because Necromancy didn't just make bossing easier, it made bosses that felt impossible before all of a sudden seem approachable for almost any player. Now let's talk about the update that changed everything, what the community is calling Evolution of Combat 2.0. In the simplest possible terms, in my opinion, this combat update took the best and most accessible parts of Necromancy and just started applying it to the other combat systems. We're talking about things like lifesteal mechanics, the ghost I mentioned that healed you, bleeds that actually matter so you can deal damage over time, mage abilities that are hitting significantly harder, you get accuracy improvements, and buffs to weapon specs that used to feel completely pointless. All of these changes essentially mean that the other combat styles are starting to get some of the same passives, sustain, and consistency that Necromancy had built directly into its design. And yes, I know, some of those elite PvMers I mentioned were able to do all of this anyways with the other styles, but it made it easier for all of us. And maybe the biggest change of all, the ability bars. They are finally easier to understand. You don't need a PhD anymore to understand RuneScape mechanics or how to figure out to set up those huge ranged rotations anymore. None of it. Weapons that used to exist purely as a bank standing flex, some of your mid-game boss drops and stuff like that, they can effectively be used now throughout the entire combat because of the new update. This update isn't just about melee getting buffed. It isn't just about range being easier. This update is about raising the combat floor for every single player. And if casual players can finally deal more damage without needing billion coin setups, the game is going to become a hell of a lot more fun for everyone. Why this matters all of a sudden is because since 2023 and the release of Necromancy, a lot of newer players, including myself, have used Necromancy as the gateway into PvM. It was the easiest way to learn bosses, it removed a lot of the complexity of the game, and it allowed people to jump straight into the action. Things are shifting again. Melee DPS is back and coming back hard. Mage still has incredible scaling potential, and with the right gear and right rotations, there's nobody that can stop you. And if the pattern continues with the way the other ones are flowing, ranged will probably follow right behind them with the ease and accessibility. But what this really means for everybody is that the combat triangle is finally starting to feel balanced again. Players can swap styles more easily, different bosses reward different combat approaches, and the bridge between hard mode timers and elite timers and eventual master and grandmaster combat achievements just got a little bit shorter. Not for me personally, I'm just saying maybe for you guys. But for the players who really understand the combat system, this update might have just unlocked a whole new level of performance inside the game. So, is Necromancy dead? No, probably not. Necromancy is still an incredibly strong combat style, but the chokehold it had on mid-game and late-game PvM finally is loosening up. Because for a long time, Necromancy felt like the default answer to every boss. But now, the other combat styles are back in the conversation, and the combat style that disrupted the combat triangle might be in a fight for its life to stay relevant now. And honestly, that might be the healthiest thing that could happen to RuneScape combat. Now, as we get ready to go, remember, again, like the video, comment your favorite combat style and your favorite boss in the game, and subscribe to the channel for more RuneScape content. For Rivet City Radio, I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out, my people.